on unexplained mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, Taken, the Abduction Phenomenon. They are close encounters of the most intimate variety. As reports of abductions continue to rise, so too does another alarming trend: the aggressive sexual nature of many recent abductions. Saugerties, New York. James LaFonte and friends began seeking refuge from the city on regular weekend trips to the woodlands of the upstate region.
I first met James in '87, and a few friends of us, we all went upstate to the trailer just to have a nice weekend and enjoy ourselves and have fun.
Going up weekly almost became an addiction. It was for enjoyment, but it was almost like we were being called back.
As with many abduction reports, the first sign of an unusual occurrence was the shared sense of lost time.
James LaFonte contacted me because of certain fragmented memories. He'd been with a group of friends, and they knew something had happened. There was a time lapse.
Hopkins uncovered a common trait among the group: memories of alien contact in childhood.
Ever since I was a child, I used to wake up and I used to see white light and shadowy figures moving around my bed, and I would get scared.
When I was younger, I remember like an alien looking through the window, being watched, a feeling of being watched all the time.
Through hypnotherapy, Hopkins yielded shared traumatic memories.
It turns out week by week, we were all being abducted as a group.
Like on a table. They have big eyes, and skin looks remolded. I gotta get out of here.
But the detail and scope of these repressed memories exposed an incident of group abduction beyond any on record.
I remember seeing these bright lights almost in every window, and there's domes on top of the trailer. And everything was glowing, and we just become basically paralyzed. During the abduction, we would walk down this dark road in a trance state.
And we'd be walking to the craft, which was always in the same spot in this pit area.
The Saugerties group recalled forced medical tests, and there seemed to be a disturbing focus to the experiments.
Something was being worked on my genitals. I would see James across the room, and the same thing being done to him. I do know the sperm was removed.
To some experts, the group's accounts expose an alien agenda of harvesting human genetic material.
There's a very great interest on the part of the UFO occupants in human reproduction, sperm, ova, the DNA, but it has also included an interest in human sexuality itself.
Sometimes we'd be abducted and there would be sexual situations that would pair off.
It could be other people's wives, other people's husbands, different friends that we were with.
According to LaFonte, the experimental pairings could also include alien participants.
I've experienced certain things like that. I was with an alien that wasn't totally at will. It's hard to explain.
To further cope with their trauma, members of the group sought counseling with a clinical psychologist.
Generally, when I work with people using their imagination, there's a personalized stamp that people put into their imagery because it's being generated from a part of themselves. These abductees and their reports do not have this kind of personalized stamp, and I think it makes it even more credible. I lost plenty of jobs, I lost friends, I lost family, I lost a number of things, and it got to the point where I would, I was contemplating suicide in a sense because there was no escape.
Is the disturbing account of the Saugerties group a hint as to why aliens are seeking out humankind? If so, many believe that Kim Carlsberg represents the next piece of the puzzle. Kim Carlsberg was a successful professional photographer when an encounter experience changed the direction of her life.
I came home, went to bed, I woke up, and I was not in my bed any longer. I was standing in what I thought was an elevator. I was paralyzed.
Like so many prior abductee accounts, Kim recalls medical experiments happening around her.
And there were these little short off-white beings, naked guys with big black eyes doing things to these people on these tables. And I didn't know if I was going to live through the night. I really thought that these people might be dead, and I thought that I was going to be next. So I started screaming, and a taller alien that looked just like these guys walked up behind me and slapped me on the back of the neck, and I started to pass out. Next thing I knew, I woke up. I was in a smaller room by myself on a table, and you know, I'm completely disoriented. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's happened to me.
In a series of semi-lucid flashes, Kim recalls the alien testing.
I had an experience where they put a metal rod to my tailbone, and they take skin samples. I had something shoved up my nose. I felt this drug feeling come over my body, and I knew that I was going to be unconscious within a matter of seconds, and there wasn't anything that I could do about it. And I woke up back in my bed, and at that point, you know, I thought that I had completely lost my mind. I knew I wasn't hallucinating, but it was the only logical explanation.
And that encounter was not an isolated episode. She has had numerous subsequent abductions. One memory is particularly harrowing.
I had a very vivid experience of having a fetus put into my body and removed. It's ridiculously hard for me to talk about.
Is Kim's experience corroborating evidence to others' accounts of baby harvesting? If so, why would an advanced race need human babies? One theory holds that alien evolution may have stalled, requiring human DNA for future development.
Some people hypothesize that their planet or where they come from is arid and barren, and they've lost their own reproductive capabilities, so they are trying to find a new genetic stock with us.
They do need our genes to propagate their own species.
It's a recurring theme that we hear from a lot of abductees. They're studying us, they're studying our sexuality, our emotions, and they're using us for some design goal as the center of this experiment.
Kim's story has been met with fierce skepticism.
I know how crazy it sounds for a woman to say she's been implanted with an alien fetus. I'm an intelligent woman, I'm highly educated, I know how the world perceives it, but I'm sorry, it's the truth.
To Kim and all abductees, the need for more research into the abduction phenomenon is urgent. Such study could either prove the reality of their claims or provide alternate answers for these troubling encounters.
An extraordinary phenomenon such as this demands an extraordinary investigation. It is irresponsible to dismiss it.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries. Are these alien encounters influenced by popular culture?
The more people know about what aliens are expected to look like, the more they're likely to describe an alien as looking like that preconceived idea.
Or is Hollywood merely mirroring actual incidents?
I think what was unique about Close Encounters is it was science fiction, and yet in a sense it wasn't.
They can't tell the difference between whether it was a memory or a real event, or whether it was imagination. And this is the problem.
And finally, we'll analyze the evidence in our UNX report on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, Taken, the Abduction Phenomenon. With reported sightings and alien encounters growing each year, so too have the skeptical inquiries from non-believers. Notable among this group are a number of prominent psychologists who claim that the real root of the UFO phenomenon lies deep in the unconscious mind.
It's what we call waking dreams. When people start to fall asleep, on many occasions, they have a peculiar mixture of reality and fantasy or dreams. And in this particular state of consciousness, which is an altered state, they see little aliens and they see spaceships and lights in the sky and so on.
But others defend the technique for abductees in this fragile state.
They appear to have been overwhelmed by an episode outside their own control and making, which leaves them in a post-traumatic state.
It is this very condition that makes them vulnerable to suggestion.
They can't tell the difference between whether it was a memory or a real event, or whether it was imagination. And this is the problem.
That's very interesting. Either there's something very special about this fantasy that causes what otherwise does not occur, or it's not a fantasy.
Others point out that abductions were scarcely reported before the science fiction boom of the mid-1950s carried visions of alien weekend trips to the woodlands of the upstate region.
I first met James in '87, and a few friends of us, we all went upstate to the trailer. Just have a nice weekend and enjoy ourselves and have fun.
Going up weekly almost became an addiction. It was for enjoyment, but it was almost like we were being called back.
As with many abduction reports, the first sign of an unusual occurrence was the shared sense of lost time.
James LaFonte contacted me because of certain fragmented memories. He'd been with a group of friends, and they knew something had happened.
Too does another alarming trend: the aggressive sexual nature of many recent abductions. Saugerties, New York. James LaFonte and friends began seeking refuge from the city on regular weeks.
There was a time lapse.
Hopkins uncovered a common trait among the group: memories of alien contact in childhood.
Ever since I was a child, I used to wake up and I used to see white light and shadowy figures moving around my bed, and I would get scared.
Unexplained mysteries. Unexplained mysteries. Taken, the abduction phenomenon. They are close encounters of the most intimate variety. As reports of abductions continue to rise, so